Hey guys, good to be back. I know it's been a few days. I've been taking care of my son. And I wanted to talk about meditation today. And why I think it's like one of the most important things to do. And especially in this day and age. And like meditation is exactly the opposite of addiction when you think about it. Oh, let's make this green light. Why is that? So if we take addiction, it is like a pattern of the mind where we want something and we crave it, and like we need to have that one thing. We need to do that thing in order to feel normal. That's basically what addiction is. We are addicted to something. We need it to be able to function, like in the way that we function in that very moment, or like that period of our life, or for the rest of our life. If you take a nicotine addiction, like smoking, if it's been too long and you haven't smoked, then you don't feel normal and you start to think a lot about smoking. And it's only when you have had your smoke that you feel normal again. That's addiction. Or it doesn't have to be physical withdrawals. It could also just be that you have this unconscious pattern, this automatic pattern where if something stressful happens to you and you need to like somehow settle yourself or like get back to normal, that could also be an addiction. Something that makes you feel, that makes life easier, where you are you feel in control even though it is controlling you, right? But it actually makes you feel like that is something you can, like you can do that action. You can follow your recipe to like feel normal again. So whether that be drinking that glass of wine every night, having that smoke every other hour, every half an hour, or like watching porn after a tough day to like settle back in. There's like, or like eating your favorite food, which is very satiating. The list is endless because that's how we humans like function. We find some things that we enjoy, and that becomes our reward. And so we have all these patterns, like something happens, we do this thing in order to feel good again. Something else happens in life, something at work is very stressful. We can't wait to do that thing that makes us feel good. So it's a constant fight between being in the struggle, the hard work, the uncomfortable, feeling like you want to escape a certain situation, or you just like burned out, and then running towards pleasure and joy and contentment and just feeling good. Because when we feel good, when we feel great, we don't need to run. We want to stay in that moment. And like, I think everyone can agree that if it was possible to feel the same like amount of joy or pleasure, like constantly all the time with no consequences, like we could do it like forever, like that would be the definition of paradise, I suppose. That would be a true paradise where all progress was linear. We were always feeling good. And there was no consequences. There was no downside. Now, what if I told you such a place actually exists? Ta-da! It's meditation. But it's not what you think. Like, it's never going to be like watching porn or like drinking a lot and feeling really good, having a buzz on, or like being really high, or being tripping on mushrooms or ecstasy. Like it never becomes that intense. It is something entirely different when you meditate, because it is becoming aware, becoming conscious of your mind and all the patterns that exist. And actually, there is just one pattern of duality, like the pendulum swinging between good and bad, and what the mind thinks is good and what it thinks is bad. So I feel good. That's not good. I feel bad. That's great. I want to feel like this. I don't want to feel bad. And then we feel like, that's basically duality, like good and evil, pleasure or pain. I guess you can say right or left, but like that, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I think you get the point. So when I meditate, and when people meditate, it's not about like being, oh, it's all love, and look at me, how meditative I am. Look, I'm a guru. I'm so wise. Like, it's, if you're on that shit, then you have misunderstood meditation. Because meditation is simply becoming aware and not having a lot of words, man. It's been a long week. um yeah, it's not about adding on to yourself. It's about accepting what is coming up and not watching a lot of stuff or like doing something. It's about doing nothing. Because if you do it long enough, if you meditate for long enough and like you make a habit out of it, then at some point you will realize something. Like you will have this, what some people call the awakening, where you actually see that you are not your thoughts. You get to somehow experience, and this cannot be like said with words, like you have to experience it, where you realize that, okay, I'm not my thoughts, because I can, like, there's a consciousness behind what the mind is doing. There's something inside me that is saying something is very bad for me and saying that something is very good for me. But that is not me. That is just some processes that are going on to keep me alive and keep me satiated and keep me striving towards like goals and progression and keep making me climb the hierarchy, like the food chain. Try to climb atop the food chain. So when you realize that, and you sit in like deep meditation, once you begin to acknowledge thoughts like just popping in, and when you become aware of them, it's amazing to see how much bullshit is going through your mind all the fucking time. Like, it's insane. And the less aware and like conscious you have been in your life, and when you then become conscious of your thoughts and how your mind functions, and you like become like this observer of your mind, it is like there will be a lot of thoughts popping up, and like your mind may be very, very cluttered, and you may believe everything that you think is true. Like, you may believe all your thoughts, you may believe all the stories you have told yourself. But slowly you can begin to unpack all that, and you can begin to see like how it's just stories that you have been telling yourself, and you have been telling yourself them all your life, and that's why you believe them. And that's the beauty of meditation. You become aware of all the bullshit that you tell yourself. But your ego like doesn't want you to do meditation for some reason. Because when you become aware of your ego will it will decrease in size. It will not be as powerful as it was. And then it will fight back. But that's some more advanced shit. And you don't have to go that deep. But it is very beneficial. It is very helpful to become aware that you are not your ego. And your ego is simply there to keep you alive. So the ego is a very good thing, but it is also very powerful. And like, if you believe you are your ego, that's when you will end up in so many problems in life, and you will take so many decisions, and your ego will lead you down many bad roads, because it simply wants to survive, no matter the costs. Okay, shit went too deep right now, so let's take it back to the surface level. All right. So in today's world, we are very much in our minds and in our thoughts, and we very much try to run towards pleasure through the screen scrolling, and for many guys and girls, porn use, because it's attached to a biological need of reproduction and love and feeling safe. So we are constantly seeking some sort of comfort or pleasure. But if you only live like that and you do nothing else, then your life will spiral out of control at some point, because you are just being dragged through time. You're just being dragged by all your needs and all your addictions. You're being dragged by what you think is something that you need. But in actuality, like, we don't need anything. We just want things. And when we think that we need things that we simply just want just because we don't want to think about deeper stuff, then you will be like a prisoner in your own life because you lack the awareness of how your mind works. But I'm here to tell you that if you just sit down for a few minutes every day and you try to observe what's going on and you just accept everything that's coming through and you look at it inside your mind and then you let it go and you let it pass and you say, okay, that's fine, moving on. Observe your mind, sit in stillness, don't take anything in, just let your mind empty. Then beautiful things will start to happen, promise you. But it can be quite daunting in the beginning. And many people start to like, when they've meditated for some while, all of a sudden their ego takes over again and it says, oh, that's part of my story. I meditate now. I'm a guru. I'm above everyone else because I know how to, like, I've taken inventory of my mind. I have mastered my own self. And that's just the ego, like, taking over again. The ego wants to master stuff. It wants to be an expert at certain things so that it feels higher ranked in the food chain. Like, it's all about survival for the ego, really. And then meditation will be ruined. So a very tricky part of meditation is being aware of your ego when it takes over. So let me just and you don't have to do shit, right? I'm just talking about my experience. When I meditate, just a few times a week, there is a certain calmness in my everyday because I don't take my thoughts too seriously. Because they will never be satiated. Never, ever. There was this actual guru who said, never fed, ever satisfied. Ever fed, never satisfied. And that is your thoughts and your ego. Like, you can keep feeding it all you want. You can always get the next car or the next girl or the next home or like upgrade your career. But like, you will never be satisfied because as long as you keep feeding the illusion that some of all these material things will save you, like you'll never be satisfied. You can just keep feeding it forever and ever and ever. And that's how addiction goes too. And you know that if you look at your own addictions with an honest mind, you know that like you're never satisfied. You'll only be satisfied for a few minutes or like in the duration that you are doing the thing. But once you're done doing it, then you just want more. You crave more. And then you know what happens. Your tolerance starts to like become stronger. So you need more. You need a bigger hit in order to feel the same. And slowly, gradually, like your life becomes less and less authentic and real because you're just waiting for the next fix in whatever addiction you are doing. Meditation is doing the exact opposite, tearing down the walls of illusion and all your stories and just sitting there with the raw truth that we don't actually know anything. And we have only uncovered through science and like intuition a very, very, very small percentile of the truth. And I believe we will uncover much more, but like science knows very little, even though we think that we know 100%. But you will realize if you meditate that it is just the ego saying, I have it all sorted out. I know exactly what life is. I know exactly what death is. I know exactly what happens after death. I know exactly why I should live my life the way I do. I know exactly why these addictions are very good for me, because they make me feel good. And you only live once, right? So you just, yeah, a lot of stories. But like, the more you tear down the walls, the more you get to realize that I don't know nothing. And once you start to realize and accept that I don't know anything, then you start to open up your heart, and your mind starts to open up to the universe. And that's why meditation will always lead to something spiritual, where you don't, where you just feel something. Like there's something that you are open to. And then it starts to, like, you start to connect with it because you're not putting labels on it. But if you've been listening closely, and if you know something about the ego, then you also know that it doesn't take long for the ego to take over and say, hey, wait a minute. I've been connected to something. Now I know something that others don't, and now I can boom, boom, and there you go, religion. Uh, I'm not saying religion is bad, because I think all the spiritual and religious texts, they all point to something that is very true. They all try to speak and put into text and like share with the coming generations, like that there is something larger than life. There is something that we don't understand, that we can't, like, that we can't communicate. And all these religions, they try to communicate it. But then, of course, let's say 95% of the Christians and Muslims and Buddhists and whatever are just people that are thinking with their egos that they want to be saved. And again, that's the ego striving for something, trying to master, like, I'm going to master spirituality or master religion or like become the best. And that has nothing to do with spirituality or like being connected to something that we don't understand, because it doesn't happen in your thoughts. It only happens when you let go of all the ideas that you have in your head of how things should be. When you let go and you accept reality, then reality will start to show itself to you. Now, I know this is very deep, but I'm very passionate about this. And it's very helpful to just try to become conscious and always going back to the source of just, I don't really know. Because the funny thing is that when you do that, in those very moments where you let go of control and you just allow whatever is there to get to the surface, then you feel satisfied. Then I feel satisfied. And like, I've done some cool things in my life. And I love living life, and I love like doing cool things and like living in the world. And I don't want to isolate myself. I want to be a part of this world so very much. But there's been times where I live in like this, I live in my ego, and I believe everything my ego tells me about my story and what I should fear and what I should, whatever, That is a very hurtful state to be in. And I believe many people are in that state because they believe everything that the ego tells them. But when you it's like the other thing, like becoming more conscious and like deepening your state of awareness. It's like it's never ending. And the further you go, the more satisfying it is, the more satiated you become and like content. And it also helps like a normal life because you don't always take things so seriously. And for me, it's very much helping me to be more authentic in everything that I do. Also doing this YouTube channel because the few successful videos I have had, my ego, it goes straight at me like, whoa, we want more of this. And what if your next video doesn't? And like, what if you're a fraud? Or what if bullshit. But because if I'm meditating in that, like, if I have a ritual of meditation, then instantly I will become aware, and I can just like take that negative thought and just send it on, just like accept it, and okay, that's fine. That's just like the ego trying to protect me. Thank you, ego, but I'm not going to listen to you. A lot of times I listen to my ego because it needs to be, basically you just need to be the master. That thing you need to master. And the ego the ego wants no master. But if you can be the master of your own ego, then life will be a lot easier. But you can't like master it with strength and like battling it. You have to be very intelligent about it and very conscious and very aware of how it works so that you can guide it. The ego is like a small child, and I have a almost 3-year-old child right now. And like, sometimes you need to set some boundaries, and that's the same with the ego. But you can't always be like the bad cop towards your child. You also have to sometimes just be very smart and be the adult. So I guess you can say the same thing about your consciousness. Your consciousness should be so evolved that it is the adult taking care of the child, which is your ego. And if none of this makes sense to you, I totally get it, because it takes a lot of time, and like, I am in no way an expert in this field, but I've had some revelations, and I just want to get the point across that like meditation is the only thing that will like truly ever get you satisfied in life. Like to a point where you just feel good, but you will only do it in like if you make a habit out of it, and meditation like doesn't just become a thing where you sit down and close your eyes and you concentrate or you like observe very intently. Like, it starts there, where you sit upright, you meditate, and you try to just breathe, focus on your breath. But it should evolve to like becoming just every single moment of your life where you are the observer and you are the parent to your ego, and you are conscious of what is happening. Because your ego will pop up like in every single second of every day. Because that's how it works, man. It's just trying to protect you. But we are facing some serious obstacles in today's age with all the tech companies getting us hooked on all the websites, all the social media, all the media online, and also how the world works today, where you can get hooked on something and you just get drawn away. And again, the only thing that will do some serious let's say serious damage to that whole technology empire is you being aware of when you should stop scrolling, and observing whether observing the effects these various habits and addictions and vices have on your brain. So yeah. Man. Yeah, and I can just, I only do sometimes I do 20 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. Sometimes I also do an hour, which you saw in the first few minutes of this video. But in under 20 days, I'm going to Sweden. And then I'll be going to this meditation Vipassana retreat for 10 days straight. And it will be all day, every day for 10 days straight. And it's going to be my rite of passage, I think. It's I'm actually very scared. I've never done something at this scale before, but I think through my trials and tribulations of meditations, I've just been drawn more and more to do this. And I understand that for me right now, I need structure. So going there, someone is going to give me structure, tell me what to do, when to do it, and I will and because I know my ego quite well, I will just tell it to do the work and just listen to the people, and then we do the work, and we do the work, and we do the work for 10 days, and then we see what happens. Hopefully I'll break some barriers and get some new revelations. I've done a 3-day silence retreat before, but it wasn't with the intensity that these 10 days are going to be. But I'll make a whole video on that. Trust me. Because it's important. So sit your ass down for 2 minutes if you're feeling stressed and let everything come out, because it will. Alright guys, peace. See you in the next one.